Hey guys, how you doing?
We're doing well. How are you?
I'm wonderful.
It's awesome.
Nice, beautiful, sunny day up in San Francisco.
Very cool. Well, it's nice to have some sun.
Oh yeah, got to take
Yeah.
it when we get it up here, right?
Uh-huh. And Gabriel and Gannon, nice to see you guys. You look like new faces. Welcome to Cal Poly Entrepreneurs.
It's Owen. Hey,
What's
Owen.
up? How you doing?
Good.
Awesome. I have a little video to kick this off with. Can you guys hear that?
I think you have to share your audio, perhaps.
Okay.
Wow.
You guys can hear that? No?
Alistair, what's up?
Welcome, Nathan.
Hey, bud.
Good to hear your voice.
Oh, is it? Dude, why can't I see like the full screen view of everyone?
I don't know. There
Grid
are 10 people in here, so hopefully you can see them.
How many have typically been showing up?
Last meeting we had 20. The meeting before we had about 40 because that was the CIE Cal Poly collaboration meeting.
Ooh, suck.
Yeah.
All right, I'll put myself on mute since you don't hear me talk much longer. That's fine.
Okay, now I'm going to go back to screen sharing. Oh, you can see me.
Yeah, it's pretty clear. I ain't no size two, but I can shake it like I'm supposed to do. So I got that boom boom, that all the boys are chasing all the right junk in all the right places. I see those magazines working on Photoshop. You know that stuff ain't real. Come on and make it stop. If you got beauty, then raise them up, 'cause every inch of you is perfect from the bottom to the top. My mama, she told me don't worry about your size. She said, boys, I got it to more booty to hold the night. You know I won't be no stick figure, silicone Barbie doll. So if that's what you're into, then go ahead and move along. Because you know I'm all about the bass, no treble. I'm all about the bass, no treble. I'm all about the bass, no treble. I'm all about the bass, I'm bringing booty back. Go ahead and tell those skinny ladies that. Nah, I'm just playing. I know you think you're fat, but I'm here to tell you every inch of you is perfect from the bottom to the top. Hey, my mama, she told me don't worry about the size. She said boys like really don't want booty to hold at night. And I won't be no stick figure silicone Barbie doll. So if that's what you're into, then go ahead and move along. Because you know what?
Alistair, if you mute your thing, I think the whole video gets muted.
Jack, I'm really digging your background.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it. I had a lot of fun looking for good Zoom backgrounds lately. This is one of my favorites. I feel like when I talk, though, I should use this one.
See,
So,
that's what I wanted to do to mine, but I don't have like a laptop that's compatible with everything.
Oh,
So when I try
bummer.
to put a background, it just does this.
That's kind of trippy.
That's almost more
Yeah.
fun.
Honestly,
I hope you guys enjoyed that video. The reason why I shared that with you is because the person who invented that style of music, it's called postmodern jukebox. His name is Scott Bradley. He looks like this. Corey Carpin from the Cal Poly CIE is potentially trying to get him on one of our Zoom call meetings. So just as a little promo video, I thought I'd show that. Yeah, so 7:10, we're going to get started here. I want to give a big warm welcome to Shane. He's the founder and CEO of VEC. Is that how you say it, VEC?
That's it. Yep. Thank you.
Awesome. I was saying VEC before.
Yeah, that's common.
Yeah, so we're so excited to have you today. We should have a few more people trickling in as over the next few minutes, but we're going to get started jumping into our announcements. So can everyone see my screen all right? Yeah, cool. So for this meeting, be sure to sign in with the QR code right here. That has any announcements on our portal. And so if you do that, it's also good because then we can track how many people come to our meetings, which is super helpful. So if you can do that, that would be super, super great. And Kaylin, if you could shoot a link in the chat as well, would that work?
Yep, I will do that.
Okay, thanks. All right, so as I said earlier, Shane's here. He's going to be talking with us tonight. It is Cal Poly Entrepreneurs meeting number 3 of spring quarter. And we're going to start off with some trivia. So you can utilize the chat feature with this. So let me get that open. The first question is, this country's currency is going virtual through a new cryptocurrency called DC/EP. Anyone? Okay, think countries, think large countries, think countries in Asia. Germany
is it China?
in Asia. Yes, China.
Really? Oh, I thought it was called something else. Cool.
Well, that's where I got my info from.
My defense, I put
Your info's
Germany-
probably newer than mine. I believe it.
Yeah, I just got that off of the newsletter called Morning Brew. I get that delivered every Monday through Friday in the mornings. Wake up, read that, get all my news in an easy digestible format. Highly recommend it. Second question. This company has installed thermal cameras in their warehouse to detect any signs that their employees are exhibiting COVID-19 symptoms. Think companies. Think a company with a lot of warehouses.
Is it Amazon?
Amazon. Yeah, so I'm not Starbucks. Nathan, you funny guy. Yeah, I don't know how well that's going to work. That'll be interesting to see if, how accurate those cameras are, if they can detect, like a 1 or 2 degree change in someone's internal temperature to indicate that they might have COVID-19. Third and final question, name the formal name or nickname of the official US presidential vehicle. Oh, Armand, wow, I'm impressed. Praise. That's good. Yeah, it's a Cadillac that's Prius. It's nicknamed the Beast. That was also in the Morning Brew. They had 5 trivia questions about which world, like what world leaders, what they drive around. So that was pretty interesting. I think the leader of Japan was in a Hyundai. This is kind of unrelated, but I thought it was interesting. So yeah, that was also from the Morning Brew. I highly recommend subscribing to their newsletter. It's really interesting. So now time for a quick announcement from Gabe, who's working on a project and he's looking for some help.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name's Gabe. I'm a Cal Poly student, 3rd year, and me and some of my roommates and my brother, who's he didn't go to Cal Poly, he lives up in Portland. We're working on a project to help connect distilleries to nursing homes, because distilleries are now producing hand sanitizer, and nursing homes and facilities like that are in need of hand sanitizer. So we've been volunteering like all of spring break and all the last 2 weeks to make this, and it's essentially a marketplace where people can log in and they get verified as a healthcare facility, and then they're able to source hand sanitizer through us, through our distillery network, and we're kind of just rolling out this new website in the next few days, and we're really excited about it because it's going to help a lot of people. And we're taking no cut of it. It's all 100% volunteer based. But we do need to push a little bit harder and do some outreach. So I was directed to come talk to everyone here from Sierra Scalaro. Super sweet, and she gave me a lot of good advice. Figured you were all be a great resource for me to reach out to in order to bring on a few more people onto our team and help spread the word through Facebook groups or distillery guilds or nursing home networks. So if anybody's interested in helping out a little bit, just a few hours a week, be really huge, potentially save lives, which is really important right now. My email's on there, gabe@disinfectconnect.com. Shoot me an email and I'm sure we can set something up. We'd love to have some more help with this.
Awesome. Thanks, Gabe, for pitching that. I hope some of you take advantage of that and, work on a project that benefits the world and the people around you during this kind of uncertain time. So thanks, Gabe.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Put your email in the chat so then people have something they can reference. All right, and going to our next announcement is from Nathan. Nathan, kick it off.
Yeah, what's up, y'all? My name is Nathaniel, 4th year here at Cal Poly, for those who don't know me. Not sure if you already saw, but last week I kind of created this infographic and posted on LinkedIn about really kind of creating office hours with me. So basically understanding that right now it's obviously a hectic time and people are not able to get the same resources that they typically have that could be very vital right now. And so I'm not a licensed therapist. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not studying psychology. I don't have any license, but I've been through my fair share of trials. I've had a lot of great people pour into me, and kind of my heartbeat behind this is really just creating a safe and open place for people to reach out to me and, discuss things that could range all the way from, the challenges that you're currently facing, life, or talking about, cover letters, resumes, and whatnot. So I've been speaking to a few clubs today and last week because it's gained a lot of traction. But yeah, really my heartbeat is just to create like an open and safe place for anyone to reach out to me and schedule an appointment. So it's been a lot of fun thus far, and everything's going to remain confidential. Just kind of want to create, just a free place where people can be heard. So you have my contact information. Please, I know if you don't know me, I'm a friendly guy. So do not hesitate to reach out. More than happy to help anyone during this time. That's it.
Yeah, I'd say you're a pretty friendly guy too.
That's right.
Yeah, Nathan, I think it's awesome that you're doing this, especially in a time where, we're all kind of isolated in our homes a little bit, and life certainly isn't the same as it was before. So to do something like this, I think is awesome. So you can put your email in the chat just so people have it and they can reference, and your phone number. But yeah, definitely take Nathan up on that. All right, now time for a little warm-up game. Kaylin, can you take it away?
All right, it's gimme time. So I think there's a few new people, so I'm going to explain the rules again. But the way this goes is I'm going to say gimme something, and it's your job to go find that object and bring it back to me. So if everyone could get their cameras on so I can see everyone, there's going to be some potential prizes here as well. So everyone, cameras on. See, I think most people got their cameras on. All right. Okay, we're going to start off with a simple one. Gimme something that starts with the letter S. Everyone hold their object.
I've got a face mask.
S.
S.
As in S, yeah.
Oh.
I got a speaker.
I've got a sweatshirt.
Nice. What is that, Jack?
Yeah, salsa.
Salsa. Oh, really?
Okay, nice.
It's not like in the background. There we go.
Awesome. Gannon, you got a spring. Cool. What did you bring, Shane?
I got a 2-for-1 here. This is a Starbucks cup with a Sierra Nevada inside of it.
Oh, there we go.
Wow. And you got yourself. That's
Here we go. 3 for.
perfect. Okay, ready for the next one? Gimme something round.
Something round.
Sophie and I are matching. Round. Nice, a light bulb. Oh, Owen's still looking over there. Sarah's got, Alistair's rummaging around, it looks like.
She's round.
Okay, yep. We'll take that. Perfect. Okay. Are we all ready for the last one? This one is the competition one. The winner gets some free pizza. Everyone ready? Alrighty. It is gimme something that is the most colorful. Pictures don't count. You can't show me a picture.
Most colorful.
Mine's a mouse pad.
Mine is a pillow. Oh, somebody got a tie-dye shot. Wow, on.
Wow, Armand, that's nice.
Wow.
That was good.
I have a quill of all of like my
Picture
shirts.
though. It's a picture though. Yeah, it can't be a photo. It's a photo.
That's, we'll take the map. The map is good. It just, you cut.
Aylin, I think we should spin the wheel for the pizza this time.
All right. Here's what I got.
Ooh,
It's a bunch of like these origami cranes, just on like this bottle cap.
Very cool.
Okay. But I also agree. I think we should spin the wheel since that was a little
you
easy.
think you could set up the spin the wheel?
Yeah, how about we do it at the end of the meeting?
Yeah.
Give you some time to set it up. But awesome. Yeah, thanks for playing, guys. I hope you had a little fun.
Yeah. Awesome. So if you win the spin the wheel contest, then we will ask you what's your favorite pizza place right next to you, near you, and we'll have a pizza delivered to your house. Cool. Awesome. I'm going to share my screen and we are going to jump in.
Anna.
So,
come help me.
An announcement from Kaylin on the Intrepid podcast.
Yep. So we have our Intrepid podcast going on at the moment. We just published a new podcast last week, and we just started an Instagram account. You can follow us at Intrepid, the Intrepid Podcast. So, yep, check it out on your free time, and that's it. Thanks, Alistair.
Awesome. Thank you, Kaylin. And next up, getting to tonight's main event and person here to talk with us, Shane Saltgiver. He's the CEO and founder of VEC. He graduated from Cal Poly in 2009 and started his business 1 year later in the peak of the Great Recession. Tonight, he's going to share about his experience that started here at Cal Poly and the unconventional beliefs and efforts that contributed to VEC's success and organic growth from 1 employee less than 3 years ago to nearly 100 team members across 5 global offices. So I'm so excited to have you here. Let's give him a big warm welcome and yeah, take it away.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you, Alistair, and all of you here today for the opportunity to share a little bit about my experience and some of the lessons I've learned throughout my journey. I hope that it can plant some seeds for you all, as obviously you're all entrepreneurial minded. You're here today, you're part of this group. And so hopefully some of this resonates with you guys. And I tailored the discussion that I wanted to go through to things that I feel could most benefit you guys at this point in your life. So I'm not going to get maybe as deep into the kind of step-by-step of how the business evolved and was created. I will touch on some of that, but I wanted to pick a few specific stories to highlight and then jump in at the end on some overall lessons learned and advice that can help you guys as you're considering business ideas, maybe starting a business, or just figuring out how to adapt to the current economy and conditions that we're all going through, which I can relate to in a fashion, having graduated at the peak of the last economic downturn. So with that, I will share a little bit about VEC, just so you guys know a little bit about the business that I'm in and the reason why I'm able to speak with you guys today. And then we'll jump into some of those stories. Feel free to post questions anytime during this in the chat. I'll be keeping an eye on that, and I'll either jump right into those questions as we go, or I'll table it to the end, and we can come back to them at that time. And we'll also have time at the end for just general Q&A. So if you don't want to ask it in the middle, just go ahead and write it down, and we'll get to it towards the end. How much time, Alistair, do we got for? We're going till 7, right?
I'm on mute. Yeah, we're going until 6:45 or 7. However long.
Perfect. Cool. All right. So VEC, tell you a little bit about that, just so you know what I'm coming from in terms of industry and the type of business I'm involved with. So VEC is we provide technology services for the construction, engineering, architecture world. So we are involved, our clients would be contractors, they would be engineering firms, they would be developers, owners of projects, and we help them design and build their projects more efficiently, learning from the challenges that the construction and engineering industry has that we are slowly wiping away one by one as new technology and new approaches surface for us to be able to just change the way that we've built and designed projects. So we work on all types of projects, from aviation, high rises downtown, big tech campuses for like Google's and Facebook's and all the other tech groups up here in Bay Area. We are headquartered in San Francisco, but we have offices in South America, specifically in Brazil, and offices in Europe, 3 offices in Ukraine actually, which never imagined having an office in Ukraine 3 years ago, but it's where our largest workforce is situated today across our 3 offices there. We, when I graduated from school in 2009, I thought that leading up to that I was at the peak, man. I had 4 internships. I was involved with every extracurricular I could be involved with. involved with, of course, my education on the 6-year plan because I changed majors, picked up a minor. And so it was a big blow when 08, 09 hit, and the economy, especially in construction engineering, just came to a screeching halt. So my first jobs actually post-graduation were delivering ice in the city of San Francisco, driving around a big creepy white van, making $15 an hour, and then working my nights at valet, parking cars. So that's where my career began. And as things made a turn for the better during that time, that ultimately was able to officially start VEC in 2010 by going down a path that, after I was delivering ice and valet, had an opportunity to work in a portion of the industry that I would have never considered before, and that was on the electrical construction side. And that time of graduating, when things were tough, and especially in the construction engineering economy, it opened doors that really changed the course of my life. And a lot of people look back on that time and they just see it as negative and sad and, oh, so painful. But I look at that as one of the best opportunities that I could have ever had, being able to graduate in a challenging economy, which presents incredible opportunity as well for those that are looking for it and those that are willing to maybe step out of their comfort zone and step away from the path that they thought was going to be their future post-graduation. Today, as Ali Star mentioned, we've got about 100 team members, and all those team members are supporting our US-based projects. We don't have any marketing or sales group. Our growth was organic, and it was driven by a demand of the industry, that an industry that has been building and designing things the same way they have for hundreds of years. Maybe we've made some improvements in the safety sector and a few other engineering feats and new tools and hardware we can use, but largely the industry was unchanged. And so right now the industry is going through a bit of a technological revolution. So we've been able to capitalize on that and help a lot of individuals through it. So I want to jump back and really talk to you guys a little bit about where the story really begins, and it goes back pre-Cal Poly. And what I wanted to share with you guys about that is when I was growing up, when I was young, I always felt that I was special, that I had something different, and I had a belief that I was going to be successful in life and in business. I didn't come from a wealthy family, didn't come from a connected family, and I had no idea how this would actually happen. But in the end, none of that really mattered. And I've reflected on that a lot over the past decade, as I started to see my goals and visions of the future come to life. And I wondered whether my belief in myself led to those successes, or if my early successes resulted in actually believing in myself as I started to see things start to happen. It was kind of one of those, like, chicken and the egg, right? Which came first? Well, after reflecting on it for many years, I've now confirmed that it all started with that belief in myself. And you guys have probably heard with the different groups you're involved with and maybe other speakers and books that people talk about this belief, right? This belief in ourselves, beliefs in our vision. And really it's the most key foundational component to achieving anything in life. I'm technically considered a millennial. I'm right at the beginning of that wave, and millennials often have some negative stereotypes that come with it. We're often labeled with negative things, such as based on the time we grew up in, right, where everybody was given a trophy for first place or last place, didn't matter. We were told that we could be anything we wanted. We were told that we could have anything we wanted. And so there's some truth to some of the negative sides that came through that, but there's a huge undervalued component of that. And to me, that's what's extremely exciting about you guys, about our youth, about those that have between my age and your age. I'm only about, I guess, 10 to 15 years older than you guys. But looking at when you grew up in a time like that, and you really thought that you could actually change the world, right? Well, That's amazing right there. Most generations prior to us, they didn't have that option, right? It was you're going to go get a job. You're going to work there for 30 years. You're going to get your pension. You're going to retire, and that's just life, right? And most people accepted that. Well, now we're at a time where that's not really normal, right? That's not, most people sitting here probably, I guarantee most of you don't have a life path that has you working for somebody for 30 years, saving up your retirement and retiring. Now that is still a great path for a lot of people, nothing against that. But for people like you sitting in an entrepreneurial group, that's probably not the path that you have envisioned for yourself. So now belief is one component of it, right? Belief has to be followed up with this undying drive and this discipline in thought, discipline in action, and really taking extreme ownership of your own destiny. So there's a lot of people that have belief, but they don't have the drive or the discipline to really see it through and understand that it doesn't happen overnight, right? Most successful companies you'll hear about that, they'll talk about, my story took 10 years, or I love a quote by the founder of Airbnb, my overnight success took 1,000 days, and most people don't see the path and the journey and the struggles and the challenges that it really takes. They just see, oh my goodness, just created this company out of thin air. Well, it's a lot more than that. Most people look at that mountain that you have to climb and they see it as, I don't know if I really got the time and effort and energy to put into that. And so then they fall into that stereotype of, oh yeah, I've lost my purpose, lost my passion. I can't spend more than 3 minutes working on something and I'm going to move on. So belief is useless without that followed up with that drive and that discipline. So when I talk about the discipline and discipline, thought, and action, I want to share a story with you guys that will help explain what I mean by this discipline, thought, and discipline action. So when I was in one of my internships while I was at Cal Poly, I was up in San Francisco. It was the first time I lived up in San Francisco. I was a between third and fourth year, so I was 21 years old. And I refer to this time as the day that I lost my friends. And I was out with my friends one night, just hanging out, usual bars and whatever. And on the way home, I'm talking with some of my friends, and I'm telling them, this is back in 2007, right, when the economy is just pumping. And I'm telling them, I'm like, hey, so I think that, when I graduate, I'm going to be able to I think I can make $100,000 a year with my base pay when I graduate. And my friends, some have already graduated. They're already working in engineering and construction industry. Some are my age and still not graduated yet. And I get into this argument with them where they're telling me that I'm literally insane, that this will never happen, that I'm living on some freaking planet that is disconnected from reality, and it goes on and on and on. Well, I have disciplined thought, and I thought that they were insane for thinking that. And so what it resulted in was us getting in this huge argument. I called my girlfriend at the time, told her I got to get new friends. I'm done with these guys. They can't see a bigger vision for the future. They're living in this box of reality that society has beat them down into this box. And so it was this monumental moment where it's a fun story now. Me and my friends are still good friends. But at that time, I realized that there's a lot of people that are not going to believe in you. Most people won't, actually. Most people are going to tell you that you're out of your mind. And the bigger your goal, the crazier your goal, more people are going to tell you that you're out of your mind. So one of my favorite quotes that I believe was Steve Jobs, and it says, those that are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones that do. And so my advice to you guys is while you're in this extremely critical part of your life where you're developing your thoughts and your beliefs and some visions that you might have for the future, that realize that sometimes, most times, people aren't going to be in the same boat as you. They're not going to be able to see that. And that's good. That's very good. But for some people, that can start to beat you down. And you might start to lose that vision and passion for yourself because of those people around you. Sometimes that means that you need to get a new group of friends. For those of you that are like me, I see it as fire, passion. Say, you know what, I'm going to prove you wrong. Right? I'm going to do it for myself, but I'm also going to prove you wrong. And I use that as fire to kind of fuel what I'm working on. So with that belief, you guys, no matter what you think you want to accomplish and you can, know that you have to believe in yourself, and nobody, or maybe your mom, maybe your dad will believe in you, but most people will think that you're out of your mind. Don't let that waver you. Have the strength to keep pushing forward, and you guys will get through that. And ultimately you'll be looking back and you say, you know what? I did it, right? So let's jump back in a little bit to some early Cal Poly days. So I started in mechanical engineering, then I changed to construction management in my third year. And I had a different philosophy for how to spend my time at Cal Poly than most of my friends and other students. Most people that I knew at Cal Poly were primarily focused on getting good grades, and they wouldn't commit to extracurriculars. They wouldn't get involved with clubs, organizations, anything that really took their time away from, their precious time away from studying. And for some, that was the right path, right? They were going on to graduate school. They wanted to become a certain, go get some PhD in something. They wanted to do whatever in life that those grades actually did matter, right? But I didn't care about my grades. It didn't matter to me. I never saw how my grades were going to correlate to my success in life based on what I was studying and what I wanted to do, and always having that entrepreneurial mindset. So sorry, 1 second here. I had a couple notes. Let me get caught up. So when it came to classes and that, I was always looking for, well, what is the best value of my time? What's the biggest ROI of my time? Sometimes it was in class. Sometimes I loved the class. The value that I was getting out of that knowledge and experience was fantastic. Still didn't care about the grade, but I would pour everything into it and get an A, of course. Other classes, I would start it, realize, hey, this isn't for me, and do whatever it took just to pass the class and move on. I spent my time outside of that, not sitting around playing video games all the time or, just going to the beach every day. I was heavily involved with extracurricular groups. I was involved with clubs on campus, was involved with clubs in my major. I was in a fraternity that I held like a dozen executive positions and really learned how to manage people and budgets and how to handle challenging situations. And I was always looking for opportunities to network with people and gain experience outside of the classroom. So I encourage you guys to really assess how you're spending your time. If you don't see an ROI, then reconsider how you can better use that time. If it is in class, then great. If it's not, be okay with saying, you know what, this probably isn't the best use of my time, right? Now, for those of you that have to have a 4.0 because you're going on to postgraduate, okay, that's a different story. But this kind of all came together for me in one of my classes. It was one of the most impactful classes I had. By a professor at Cal Poly that's no longer there. His name was Jim Howland, and he taught the technical writing class. First day of class, we're all sitting there. He goes, how many of you think your GPA matters? Right, everyone's looking around like, what the hell is this guy talking about? The old dude, all scruffy. He goes, how many of you think your GPA matters? Right? And the class is kind of looking around. He goes, your GPA. Okay, so almost, probably 3/4 of the class raised their hand, right? And he goes, well, for most of you, it doesn't mean shit. And I was like, what the heck? This is actually a professor that is like totally backing up and solidifying everything that I thought. And he went down and he explained it. And he said, it really, for most of you, when you graduate, you think that this number is going to be the most important thing in your life. But then you realize that there's things outside of that number that are more important in a lot of situations. Since graduating, I've never been asked once my GPA. When applying for hundreds and thousands of jobs when the economy was crashed, having multiple jobs since then, interviewing, now that I've hired many individuals, I don't care about the GPA. Nobody cared about my GPA then. So I caution you to really consider how you're spending your time. For some of you, that is the best way to spend your time, but for some of you, it probably isn't. So your time is precious, especially while you're at Cal Poly. So pour it into everything else that you guys can do outside of the class and pour it into the class when it's absolutely necessary. All right, so looking back a little bit more about Cal Poly. So my last 2 years at Cal Poly, I began to see a vision for the future of the construction and engineering industry. And I got involved with anything that I could that would increase my knowledge and experience in these areas. The first vision that I had was around sustainable green building. And in my 5th year, I got involved with every group, competition teams competing against other construction engineering schools across the United States, poured everything I had into it. And I kept going down that path. In my 6th year, I saw a vision for technology, how technology was going to change the industry. And I in my last, second to last quarter, my winter quarter, before graduating, I had a professor that asked the class, he said, hey, do any of you guys want to play around with this 3D design technology? And I'd seen some of these 3D models previously, and I jumped all over it. I stopped going to all my other classes, poured everything I had into it, And the teacher asked me to ended up teaching the class midway through because I knew more than him, and it was amazing, right? And I fell in love with this software tool. That now turns out that tool is the most impactful tool in the entire construction engineering industry, and the most widely tool in the entire construction and engineering industry. So, but that wasn't the case at the time, right? So why I'm telling you this is that a lot of people look back on what happened after that as being lucky. And there is some luck involved, of course, with certain paths aligning, but I usually like the ways of looking at luck with more of like preparation when it meets opportunity, or labor under correct knowledge, and all these things. And so what happened was, when I graduated and I was working valet and working delivering ice throughout the city, and I got that first job working for an electrical contractor that I would have never considered working for had it not been due to the recession. And while I was there, I get a call one day from the owner of the company, and he says, "Hey Shane, I'm in Chicago. I'm at a conference, and I'm here with one of your professors. He says that he knows you." And he puts Lonnie, my professor, on the phone, and he's going, "Hey Shane, what's going on?" And so blah blah blah. They're talking, and Bob takes the phone back and he says, "Hey, so Lonnie's telling me about this 3D software that is supposedly really changing the way that we're designing and building projects. He says that you're pretty good at it." So so Bob asked me if I could use it, if we should use it on some of the projects that I was on. Specifically in San Francisco, we were reconnecting the Golden Gate Bridge to the city with a bunch of tunnels and bridges. And so I say, "Yeah, Bob, this is a perfect candidate for it. And yeah, I know how to use the software kind of well, but let's give it a shot." So he goes, "All right, here's the deal." He's like, "I'm going to buy you the software, buy you the hardware. It's about $10,000 investment." He's like, "But you have to do this all in your free time. This is your job is to manage construction. So you can do this in your nights and weekends if you really think it's going to be valuable." So I, sign the deal with the devil and say, "Okay, great, let's do it." So I spend the next 6 months, every night, every weekend, learning how to use the software, and finally being able to construct a 3D model of a portion of this project, and discovering something that was a massive engineering flaw that resulted in Caltrans and the construction management teams asking us if what it would cost for us to run this analysis and these 3D models on the rest of the projects. And at this time, nobody was using this tool very, very much in the industry, so nobody knew what it cost, what it was worth, right? So I put together a proposal, said, "Okay, Bob tells me," he's like, "Whatever you can sell to Caltrans in the project, I'll split with you 50-50. I'm like, "Okay, cool." So mind you, nobody has any idea of what's this worth, right? So I put together a proposal, and I say, "You know what, $185 an hour sounds good." I'm making $25 an hour at this time, right? As a project engineer for a contractor, right? Which most of you guys, $25 an hour is, it's not the highest paid salary you can ask for at a college, especially when, 2 years prior, I would have been making nearly double that, had the economy not been what it was. But I put this proposal together. We sell it to the owner, to the project, and within 24 hours they approve it. And so I realize, okay, this is something that I can monetize. This is something that has value. So I go work my normal, 12 hours a day as a construction manager, making $25 an hour. Then I'd go home on my nights and weekends, and I would build these models and be making, splitting my 185. I'd go home and make my $90 an hour. And so it gave me that the hope that this is something that can add a lot of value. During the early years, I was able to get more additional consulting gigs like this while I was still working full time. So remember, if you're going to be pursuing an entrepreneur or a business venture while you're working, then you're going to have to be prepared to put in twice as much effort as anybody else, because you got to do it in your nights and your weekends. So many times during the 4 or 5 years after that, while I was still working full time, I said, "Okay, I'm ready to quit. I'm going to go pursue this full time." And one of my mentors kept reminding me, he said, "Do not quit your day job until you are so overloaded with your night and your weekend work that you can physically no longer do both." And it was amazing advice, because I would have quit. And at that time, I didn't have the construction and engineering experience that I needed to really launch the business in the way that we ended up doing it just a few years ago. I encourage you guys to have as many mentors as you can. You can now consider me a mentor. I'm happy to talk with you guys and share anything that I have and be a resource for you. If you're in the AEC construction engineering industry, then please reach out to me and use me as a resource for you guys. If you want to just bounce random ideas off me, come up to San Francisco, have a beer, love to sit down and talk with you guys. All right, so I'll close this out in just a few more minutes and then we'll jump into questions. So a few other items that I wanted to mention. So a couple takeaways. When setting goals, one thing that I learned, goals or visions, that sometimes the universe does not align with your timeline. So you never compromise on your goals, never compromise on your vision, but realize that if you think it's going to happen by December 2021, it might be January, it might be March, it might be the end of that next year, right? Maybe it comes early. That has happened to me in some situations, but just be prepared that when you set that timeline, you set that goal, you set that vision, you're looking at it every day, you're pouring everything you got into it. Don't get discouraged if it takes a little bit longer, but never compromise on that goal, unless of course your goal needs to be compromised because it's no longer leading you down a path that is going to work out for you, which has happened to me. I've spent thousands of hours building the first version of VEC around 2015-16 that I had to throw completely in the trash because some new technology surfaced that completely wiped out everything I was planning to do. So sometimes you do have to pivot and throw that goal in the trash and find the new one. Don't worry about how you're going to get to your goal right now. Set the goal, look at it every day. Don't worry about the path. The path is going to come. It's going to show itself to you. For now, it's important you set those goals and you start to pour everything you have into it. And as you see those visions for the future and those passions, it's going to lead you down multiple paths. Go down every one of those paths. Go down as far as you can until you know that it's a dead end or you don't know it's a dead end. And the only way to find out is by going and seeing and experiencing that. So you have an idea right now for a business or something you want to get into, surround yourself with as many people and opportunities as you can around that. But maybe something else pops up, go down that path too, right? This is an amazing time with you guys being undergraduates that you can do this. You can go down 10 paths if you want, find out maybe one of them will work, maybe 5 of them will work. So don't be afraid to pivot when you need to, but also go down as many paths as you can. A few other things I wanted to share. One of my biggest early secret weapons postgraduate was audiobooks. I've never been a good reader. Don't say I'm not the kind of guy that sits down and just reads a book on the weekends, but audiobooks really changed my life. And I'm happy to send you guys a list of recommended books. That would be fantastic. I could probably send you guys 10, 20 books right now that would be really get some of those juices flowing that you can see others and their success. And not just about others, but really about really around business and why we have business and what our purpose is around that. And so I can share that with you guys if you're interested. Last couple items. Ali Starr was asking me about internships and work experience. I had 4 internships, like I mentioned. Those were incredible. They gave me the first bit of real experience in the industry. And then I worked for 6 years post-graduate in the industry before moving into VEC full-time. And that experience was, it was 100% critical. The company that I have now would have never succeeded because I needed that experience to understand why construction is inefficient, why it is not as enjoyable and as sexy as people think it is when they're in school, and then they get in there and you're arguing over change orders and things that it just seems so ridiculous how you're spending your effort and your energy. So I had to experience that to know how to fix the problem. So, absorb as much as you guys can through your internships and experience related to your passions. Let's see, what else do I got here? Okay. Last thing that Ali Starr mentioned was around company culture. And I'll share it with you guys. Oh, can you enable screen share?
Yep, I will do that right now. Okay, try.
Cool, perfect. So this is, we just recently went through this. Ali Starr was asking about, when it comes to culture, company culture, how do you develop it, and really what's important when you're looking at it. And I recently went through a 16-week leadership course. And during that time, I've been working on we call it our VEC code, our code of ethics or our code of conduct or whatever you want to call it. But it's really our culture, right? And what we're trying to portray. And I had written this up ahead of time, not what you're seeing now, but I wrote it out as what my vision of the culture should be and what I think is important. But my leadership coach at the time said, don't you think it'd be a lot more valuable if that culture came from the team? right? So who cares if it's your culture, right? And you got 20, 25 people here in SF, 100 across the globe. Wouldn't it be a lot more powerful if it was their vision and they owned it and what they think our culture is? So we went through an exercise with the team for multiple days to kind of really fine tune and hone in on what it is that we all stand for and we all strive for. And it's something that we put up in the office and we continuously reflect on because it needs to change sometimes. But yeah, that's my advice on that. When it comes to culture, it's you know, and in business in general, I hate using the term even employee. I don't like the whole superior to you know, your supervisor and those that are above and below each other. So I never refer to my team as employees. They're always our team, and it's always very free flowing between the team. There's no try to break down those barriers, those typical corporate barriers that a lot of people get wrapped up in. So, all right, I went a little bit over Alistar, but I'm going to stop there, and we can move into questions, comments, whatever you guys got.
Yeah, so I think we're all interested in, you know, having more things to read, and especially for me, I love audiobooks. So I was hoping maybe you can send that list you're talking about over to us, and then we can send it out to everyone later.
For sure. Yep, absolutely.
Awesome.
So let me go through a few of these. You were asking what was the tool called? That I assume that was the one that wiped out my previous business idea.
Well, it was the one you were using in college that you like just focused on and then used to do that Golden Gate project.
Oh yeah. So it's called Revit, REVIT.
Okay.
And it's the primary 3D modeling design tool that is used by every architecture firm, the majority of engineering firms, and every contractor that has to produce 3D content. I'd say 95% of them are using this tool. It basically replaced AutoCAD. AutoCAD is the old, 2D design method. And so Revit is largely replacing that across the industry. And it literally flipped in the matter of 5 years, where the entire industry went from doing it one way to overnight almost flipping completely upside down, to where the demand for people that know how to use these tools is incredibly outpacing the supply, which is why we've been able to grow organically.
Thanks.
Madison, you got what one book would you recommend most? So for you guys, I don't know if this would be the right time yet, but there's for founders of a business, there's one called The Founder's Dilemma, and that might not be suited for where you're at right now, depending on how close you are to actually launching a business. But it was the best tool that I was recommended for really understanding what goes into starting a business, from assessing, taking on capital and investments to partnerships versus doing it solo. So if you're at a point where you want to start educating yourself more on kind of what that actually looks like, then that'd be a great one. If you're looking for, there's kind of a couple of core books that are really more the foundational for just anybody really anybody in life. So one of those, you guys have probably heard of it, How to Win Friends and Influence People. One of those oldies classics that's still incredibly relevant today. And then one that might be good for you guys is, have you guys heard of Tim Ferriss and 4 Hour Work Week? So check that book out, man. I've read that one maybe 8 or 9 years ago. And that was the first audiobook I actually ever listened to. And it just changed my thought about life and about how to approach life in terms of work-life balance. And the title of the book, 4 Hour Work Week, he explains how he got down to a 4-hour work week while still being extremely successful. But way beyond that actual business story, it's a lot of good insight for kind of challenging the status quo and the way that we think about things. And he's got a really good book series as well. Last one I'll give you guys is Start With Why by Simon Sinek. And that really, it looks at companies like Apple, like the Apples of the world, and what is their why? What is their purpose? Why is Apple the brand and the name that we all know today? And it looks at other companies that are similar, but it really gets into the purpose of life. What is your purpose, right? And as you're pursuing a business venture or an idea, what is the purpose of that? What are you going to accomplish, right? Who are you going to help by doing that? Okay. We've got, sorry, let me get back up here. Okay, Nick. when you're starting off your business, looking for mentors, how you establish credibility that you either know what you're doing or are the man with the plan for the job. Pretty much, how do you get that backing to find people to support your vision? So I guess it depends on the type of business that you're in, right? I mean, if you guys are looking to build like some sort of software or around technology, and you want to create something that doesn't exist today, some tool that you're going to be launching, that's different than the path that I went down, right? I launched a service business that uses all those tools. So if you're looking to launch, sometimes when you have an idea that you don't have time to wait, right? You can't go get 6 years of experience like I did. And then build that business, because your idea will most likely no longer be relevant by that time. So in those situations, then looking at more of that traditional, almost like a VC path where, and you learn this in the Founder's Dilemma, it really talks about why you want to take on investors and why you want to bring them on. And they're not on just for their money. They're there for their connections, their experience, their knowledge that they can share with you. So if you're looking to build the next Facebook or something like that, then you got to surround yourself with people that can help you get there, and they're going to want a stake in your company. That's different than what I built. When you're looking to establish credibility around like what I'm doing, it came through that experience. It came through really understanding the problem that you're trying to solve, right? Every business that you guys are creating, you should be solving some problem. If you're not, then you probably don't have a business that's going to get very far. So to understand that problem, you have to gain that experience. And to gain the credibility, well, for me, fortunately, it was something that was still fairly new for the industry. So I was able to gain the experience and become proficient in these tools before most people did. So I was able to become an expert very early on in using these tools because not many people were using them. So in that case, you become credible as soon as that becomes a common tool because nobody else knows how to use it. Finding people that support your vision. Groups like this that you're a part of, other networking events. There's tons of networking events that go on in every city outside of, or any major city. Well, I go to a lot of them up here, different startup groups through Cal Poly, different entrepreneur groups. So that's a great way to connect. But really, the key individuals that I work with today that have been around for a while, we realized that our hearts were kind of connected on the similar vision, and we'd sit down, and way before VEC was anything, we'd sit around over a beer and just talk for hours about how we want to change the world and make things better. And so you start to gravitate towards people like that. Gannon, what are some low points that you've had starting VEC, and how did you get through them? Well, I had a lot of low points. So I'll snapshot to 3 years ago, because that was 3.5, say 4 years ago. So I built this training program. I was planning to launch a training program for people to learn how to use this software and all these different technology tools. And I mentioned I spent over 1,000 hours building it and getting it ready. And I discovered lynda.com was owned by Microsoft, owned by LinkedIn, owned by Microsoft. So I realized I was going to be competing with one of the largest companies in the world. And even though I thought I could create a better product, I realized that there's no way I'm going to compete with them. They sell it for like $10 a month for a subscription. So there was no way for me to monetize that without taking a totally different path. So I threw it in the trash. And at this time, I had like less than $10,000 to my name. I'd already quit my job. My wife and I had spent some time traveling. We were almost depleted on resources, and we had to move back in with family. This was at the end of 2016. And that time was, it really challenged my drive, because when you're sitting at home and you're living with your grandparents or your parents, you really start to question yourself. You really question what you set out to do, and it can become discouraging, right? So at that time, one of my outlets for getting through that was, I'm not the biggest in social media. That's one of the things I'm lacking on the millennial side. But I started following a lot of people on Instagram and LinkedIn that were inspirational, people around business, people that had success, and some that were just kind of funneling in different quotes and inspirational things. And so every morning I would get up. I'd still get up early by 6 a.m. every day. I'd go through that process, and I would get up, and every day I would have my blank white piece of paper and say, okay, what's next? What are we going to do next? And so I wrote out 5 different business plans at that time. Fortunately, one of them stuck. And so I guess the advice of getting through those tough times is realize that the belief that you have in yourself and what you want to accomplish, whether that goal that you had is still real or not, that belief in yourself and your ability has not changed. So be patient, keep fighting, and eat macaroni and cheese for a year if you have to while you're making it happen. Okay, from Ollie Stair, what are new opportunities you think have arisen due to the recent economic troubles? Oh man, well, so I mean, when you look at when I saw what happened in 08, 09, I was discouraged, not only because of what I was going through and what everyone else was going through, but because I saw so many other people that had planned for that. Now, maybe not for exactly what we went through, but we know everything is cyclical. We know every economy goes up and down, stock market goes up and down. Sometimes it goes way down and way back up when you go through economic things like this. So, so the new opportunities that have arisen due to this, well, for one, is everybody had to learn how to operate and work in a totally different format, right? I mean, my company, we've always been able to be remote. That's how we built it. But this completely changed the way that a lot of people look at remote work. And they look at how we can work together in different ways. You look at just Zoom stock. I mean, Zoom stock shot up, went crazy, and then they had some security issues, and it kind of bounced around for a little bit. But all of a sudden, everybody's overnight, it's like, oh my goodness, this Zoom product is the best thing that the world has ever seen, right? So within this time, there's opportunity to become more lean, become more nimble, and really look for those opportunities for you guys to capitalize on that moment, right? I wish, of course, back then I was like, man, I wish I had all this money. I can go invest in stock and buy properties and all this stuff. And you guys, obviously, most of you probably aren't in the situation to go do that, like I wasn't back then. But I saw through that it changed the way that people looked at the industry, looked at the economy, and changed the way that people worked together. So I mean, we could sit here and brainstorm all day on different opportunities around that, but I would look at how things have changed and how things are going to change going forward, because they're going to be different after this. A lot is going to change in the way that we work together. Okay, from Kaylin, why did you decide to expand VEC globally? What was the biggest challenge with that? So it really, we had to by necessity because of the demand of the industry. So like I mentioned, all these new tools that came out that most people didn't know how to use them. They weren't trained in them previously. So it created a demand that local US staffing could not meet. So big to where on these projects, like our aviation projects, like our team alone will have 40 people working on an aviation job for a year straight. 5 years ago, that role didn't even exist, right? This technology wasn't even being used. And I was only working for one of the engineering and construction disciplines on the electrical side. So there was hundreds of people on this aviation project that had to know this software and these tools. So, as we saw the demand grow, the only way that we could meet that demand was figure out where we can get additional resources. The first individual I partnered up with, first employee I actually hired, and he became my first business partner. He was from Ukraine, and he came here 10 years ago. So it was very hard for me to even consider that, because I'd heard horror stories of people working with remote operations, and a lot of my clients were telling us they had bad experiences previously. And so it was driven out of necessity. We couldn't find what we needed here, so we had to go look somewhere else. I never thought that I would, I didn't even know much about Ukraine. I think most of us kind of, or at least I kind of lumped it in with Russia in that area, and so there's a certain sense of feeling that Americans get generally when you're talking about going to Russia or going to Ukraine. It's usually not a warm, fuzzy feeling. So I've been to Ukraine twice now. The first trip was out 2 years ago. And the experience was amazing, man. Beautiful country. The people there are there's so many talented people across the entire globe. What's amazing about today's world is that we look at what we're doing right now, right? Who cares? You guys could be sitting in any country across the world right now, and it really doesn't matter, right? So we learned how to harness the power of working remote and working together, still connected as teams. But the biggest challenge was twofold. One, actually, language barriers, and that, of course, is a challenge. But the biggest thing was trying to get our clients and other teams that we work with to understand and see that there is a way that you can effectively have remote teams, and you can coordinate and collaborate with people all the way across the globe. And it's actually a tremendous benefit, because right now we work 24/7. We've got our Brazil office 4 to 5 hours ahead. We've got Ukraine office 10 hours ahead. So we're literally 24/7, 7 days a week, no matter what's going on. So it ended up working out very well. But yeah, it was a challenge. Going to Ukraine was a little scary the first time, but found out the fear was unwarranted, and it ended up being amazing.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, we got one more. Last one from Jack. You mentioned not having a marketing department. Does VEC still hire technical salespeople, or is it someone else in the business responsible for closing and owning contracts? So we just recently in the last year hired somebody to help out with social media posting and that, but it wasn't like a full like PR group or even a sales team. We still don't have a sales team. And our business started different than most businesses. I didn't have any capital, right? So that'd be, one job, which I would do all the work myself, and then we have success, and then that job would lead to the next and lead to the next. So the whole business grew out of referrals and providing a service that was unrivaled. And I can confidently say that I've never met a team that can provide the service that we do. So the same quality with the same discipline and drive that we have and the ownership that we take of those projects. So do we hire salespeople? No, we don't. We did recently hire in the last 6 months a business developer, but he's tied in with business development, employee development, career development, and really on the strategy side as well. So it's not like he's out knocking on doors, but he is involved with a bit of that development side, I would say. But there's no quotas, there's nothing like that. We've been blessed to just grow organically. Right now, if we launched that, we would be able to get a ton more work. But the problem is, like I mentioned, the demand is greatly outweighing the supply. Even with us being in 5 different offices in multiple countries, it's still very challenging to find people with the same drive and discipline that we have and the right mindset to do it the right way.
Cool. That seems really different for that industry. So that's interesting. But yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the question. All right.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Shane. I really enjoyed that. I felt like, that was a great, I can tell you've read a lot of the entrepreneurship books because there's like similar things, and there's also new things that you said that I really like the way you put it. So yeah, thanks for taking the time to talk with us. We really appreciate it.
Sure, man. Thank you for the opportunity, man. I love college, man. I stayed there 6 years. I think I went as long as I could. I would have gone longer, but I felt like I was kind of hitting that. You guys are, right now, I know you're not at school right now, but you guys are so blessed to be where you're at right now. And in a heartbeat, I'd go back and do it all over again because it's such an amazing path. So I wish you guys the most success and in your life and in business. And like I mentioned, please, I'll put my contact right here in the chat so you guys can have that. And literally, don't hesitate. You want to reach out and just chat and bounce some ideas off me. Happy to help any way that I can.
Mm-hmm. All right. Can we give a big hand clap? I think there's a little way to do that. Reaction. Hand clap. All right. Well, thank you, Shane. Really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of the sunny San Francisco weather.
Yeah, well, you guys enjoy your quarantine and don't get discouraged by this. This is the beginning of the next opportunity for you guys. So yeah, have a great rest of the week and